I'm currently facing a difficult situation that revolves around my family's expectations and financial disagreements within my marriage. It seems that my chance to inherit what I rightfully deserve is fading, overshadowed by my husband and his mother's relentless chase for wealth in our marriage. You might think that inheriting something from your own family would be straightforward, but for me, it's becoming a distant dream. Both my husband and his mother are intensely focused on money, their greed reaching the point where they even lay claim to my late father's hard-earned legacy, a thought that I find absolutely unforgivable. Every day, my resolve only grows stronger. I am determined not to give in to their excessive greed. Let me introduce myself. I am Diana, a 40-year-old woman who has been navigating through a 14-year marriage, juggling family duties and a demanding job. My husband, Henry, 42, works at a supermarket near the station, a place where our lives first intersected during my university days. We started dating casually when I was working part-time at that very supermarket, eventually getting married when I was 23. Our family now includes our son, Liam, who has just started his university journey this spring. While I am committed to fulfilling my responsibilities, there is a troubling undercurrent in my life: Henry's reckless spending habits. Although he has the right to spend our hard-earned money, his constant demands for more funds combined with a lack of transparency have only made our financial situation worse. When it comes to financial discussions, especially in front of his parents, the atmosphere turns into a battleground. My stand against their endless demands often leads to strong opposition from them. Tensions always seem to rise when my son Liam's grandparents visit, a sentiment Liam wholeheartedly shares, often choosing to stay away when they come around. However, Liam recently dropped a bombshell that added even more stress to an already strained situation. He caught his father being unfaithful. This revelation left me more heartbroken than furious, yet Liam's support gave me the strength to consider confronting my husband before making any major decisions. As I was gathering my thoughts on how to address this delicate issue, an unexpected situation arose. My husband and his parents unexpectedly showed up in our living room. What appeared to be a casual visit quickly escalated when my husband suggested we all go on an expensive trip to Hawaii, casually mentioning that he needed $8,000 for the plan. My frustration boiled over, and I seized the moment to confront them, not only about their relentless financial demands, but also about my husband's betrayal. The room fell silent as the gravity of my accusation sunk in. When I confronted my husband about his infidelity, he initially denied everything, questioning the need for proof and defending his innocence. I countered by telling him that he had been seen entering a hotel with another woman. He tried to discredit the witness, our own son, which made me pause, not wanting to drag Liam into a messy confrontation. To my astonishment, my mother-in-law downplayed the seriousness of the infidelity, suggesting that such behavior is typical and should be overlooked in men. I was appalled that she, a woman herself, could dismiss such behavior so lightly. Despite the emotional turmoil, the conversation quickly turned back to their financial request for the Hawaii trip, as if the personal betrayal was just a minor distraction. Frustrated with the ongoing financial disputes and the lack of moral sensitivity from my husband, I reached the point where I knew it was time to end our marriage. In a calm but firm voice, I declared that we were going to divorce. In retaliation, my husband immediately threatened to claim my parents' mansion as part of the property division if we proceeded with the separation. As our argument intensified, my cell phone rang, providing a brief interruption to the heated moment. It was my uncle, my father's brother, with distressing news. My father had collapsed and was unconscious, rushed to the hospital by ambulance. I quickly explained the urgent situation to my husband and his parents before rushing to the hospital. Upon arrival, I was relieved that my father was stable, though not in the best of health. At 62, he had spent his life dedicated to our family business, working tirelessly to ensure we had a comfortable life. The news of his sudden health crisis deeply shook me, forcing me to consider his irreplaceable role in my life. A few days later, my father regained consciousness, which alleviated some of my immediate worries. During a visit with my son Liam, we shared a moment filled with both relief and concern. However, a subsequent call from the doctor confirmed the severity of my father's condition, exacerbated by years of overwork. Tragically, he passed away not long after, and I was enveloped in grief. Throughout this challenging time, Liam remained my steadfast source of support. As an only child, I took on the responsibility of organizing the funeral, a task made even more difficult by my husband's indifference. At the funeral, my in-laws showed up, superficially expressing admiration for the family home and displaying a tactless curiosity about its value. After the memorial services, as I struggled to come to terms with my father's passing, my in-laws paid us an unexpected visit. Despite the circumstances, their attention was unfortunately focused more on the materialistic aspects, with my mother-in-law particularly fixated on the grandeur of the house, underscoring their ongoing insensitivity and materialism in the face of our family's loss. As I was grappling with my grief and putting away funeral attire, I received a call that my parents were unexpectedly on their way to visit. Confused and a bit anxious, I couldn't help but wonder why they were coming. My apprehension grew as I braced for another conversation, likely centered around financial issues. Resolute to understand their intentions, I prepared to have a meaningful conversation upon their arrival. As they walked in, the mood shifted. My in-laws, who had tagged along, settled onto the sofa with satisfied grins. The tension thickened when my husband, out of the blue, suggested we move out of our spacious house and proposed that his parents move in with us in a new home. Shocked by this suggestion, I reaffirmed my decision to proceed with the divorce, a choice driven by the need to manage my late father's affairs. My husband, ignoring the matters of his infidelity and our impending divorce, nonchalantly insisted that everything we owned, including my inheritance, should be shared between us as spouses. This bold claim, assuming entitlement to all my inheritance, infuriated me. Meanwhile, his parents casually discussed their room preferences in the potential new mansion, further aggravating my frustration. Determined to protect the legacy that my father had worked so hard to build, I vowed never to let them have their way. The audacity of my husband and his parents, treating my father's house and wealth as if it were rightfully theirs, had stretched my patience to its limits. A few days later, amidst these tumultuous events, I received a call from my uncle. His comforting words and support reassured me that I was handling the situation well despite the overwhelming challenges. The conversation with my uncle took an unexpected turn when he mentioned he had some urgent news to share, prompting us to arrange a meeting that very night. As he revealed shocking details about my husband and his parents, I was stunned by the gravity of the information. Determined to find a way forward, I confided in him about the outrageous demands and claims made by my in-laws. Outraged by their boldness, my uncle reassured me that he would help manage the situation. Curious about his approach, I eagerly met with him the next day, this time bringing along my son, Liam. The plan was to enlighten Liam about the true nature of his father and grandparents and to prepare him for the difficult times ahead. Armed with this new strategy, I called my in-laws over for a discussion about potentially all 6 of us living together in my family home. The proposal seemed to catch everyone off guard, but after they realized we were serious, my mother-in-law quickly warmed up to the idea, excited at the prospect of living in what she called a dreamlike mansion. However, the excitement was short-lived. Reality hit when my father-in-law brought up the cancellation fee for their previously planned trip, demanding reimbursement. Their unabashed self-interest was glaring, and I was appalled by their audacity. Yet, my mother-in-law, unfazed, assured everyone that they would manage the finances soon enough, brushing aside any immediate concerns. Having dealt with my husband and in-laws' relentless pursuit of money for so long, I had become somewhat numb to their schemes. But this time their sheer selfishness struck a deeper chord, reminding me of the challenging road ahead and standing up to their manipulative tactics. However, Liam, who wasn't used to their blatant and greedy behavior, was clearly upset and angered by their audacity. To comfort him, I gently patted his shoulder and assured him that we would manage the situation together. As the conversation continued about the possibility of moving into my family home, I decided to play along, fully aware that their expectations were far from reality. Henry, my husband, probed into the logistics of the move, his tone unusually sharp. Trying to ease the tension, I explained that Liam and I would head over first to get the house ready, emphasizing that it was a substantial task and we needed to start early. However, Henry expressed doubt about Liam's ability to handle such responsibilities, given his student status. I skillfully steered the conversation, assuring him that Liam was more than capable of managing his tasks, although Henry remained somewhat skeptical over trivial issues. Despite the tension, my mother-in-law was cheerfully oblivious to the undercurrents. The conversation soon drifted to the size of the mansion and the number of rooms, which seemed to excite her. Seizing this chance, I told them they could choose their rooms first and even suggested a gradual approach to cleaning and organizing, considering my busy work schedule. My measured responses served to temporarily satisfy their expectations, leaving them pleased with what they perceived as a victory. In my mind, I harbored a plan to challenge their presumptions and bring their lofty expectations back to earth. The moving day was scheduled a month later, giving me some time to strategize and perhaps change the course of events to better align with reality and fairness. I was filled with a mix of anticipation and determination as the decisive day approached, the day when my husband and in-laws were expected to arrive with a moving truck, believing they were about to take possession of what they thought was their new home. Liam and I stood at the front entrance, ready to meet them. Ignoring my husband's attempts at humor, I noticed the sparkles of excitement in my in-laws' eyes, oblivious to the fact that their illusions were about to be shattered. As the gate swung open, my uncle, my father's brother, stepped out of the house. His presence was silent yet imposing. He confronted my husband and in-laws, leaving them puzzled. It was clear that my husband barely remembered my uncle from the funeral. Setting the record straight, my uncle asserted his ownership of the house and clarified the details of the inheritance distribution. The shock on my husband and in-laws' faces was evident as they came to terms with the gravity of their misunderstanding. Despite my uncle's assertive explanations, my husband tried to remain calm, seemingly attempting to gloss over the confrontation. However, the tension escalated when Liam stepped in, accusing his father of infidelity. This revelation left my husband visibly shaken and exposed, unable to deny the truth his son had unveiled about him being seen entering a hotel with another woman, a suspicion I had harbored, which was now confirmed. When confronted, my husband adamantly denied the accusations, refusing to admit to his wrongdoings. Liam, distressed by his father's actions and their impact on our family, urged his father to leave our lives for good. Despite this emotional plea, my in-laws were still primarily focused on financial matters, insisting on a formal division of property. Their relentless pursuit of financial gain starkly contrasted with the emotional turmoil our family was experiencing, highlighting their indifference to the personal pain they were causing. When my in-laws declared that they had given up their apartment and quit their jobs to indulge in a leisurely life at what they assumed would be the family mansion, I was left utterly astonished. It was even more shocking when they disclosed that both my husband and father-in-law had resigned from their jobs, planning to rely solely on what they believed would be their share of my father's inheritance. bewildered by their rash decisions and presumptuous expectations, I stood firm, asserting my rightful claim as my father's child and anticipating a fair division of his substantial property. Fortunately, my uncle, who is also a lawyer, stepped in to manage the legal aspects. He revealed my husband's infidelity, backed by solid evidence gathered from a month-long investigation. This disclosure stunned my husband and his parents, making them finally realize the gravity of their miscalculations. With my uncle's guidance, I informed them that any further discussions would need to be handled legally and demanded that they never contact me again. Despite a brief hostile look from my husband, they left without further incident, and I expressed deep gratitude to my uncle for his crucial support. Following the legal proceedings, my son Liam and I moved into the family home, fulfilling the wishes of my father and grandfather. I felt a profound sense of gratitude for this opportunity to live in a house filled with cherished memories. Liam, inspired by his uncle's example, dedicated himself to his studies with the goal of becoming a successful lawyer. Meanwhile, my ex-husband and his parents faced tough times struggling to find new jobs and settling into an old apartment. The repercussions of their actions began to unfold as my ex-husband, now financially strained, reached out for help. However, having completely severed ties, I declined to provide any financial support, reinforcing our estrangement. As my ex-husband tried to adjust to his new reality with part-time and day jobs, their earlier scheme to finance a non-existent luxury trip unraveled further, exposing the extent of their deceit. Relieved of these burdens, I focused on my career, eagerly looking forward to seeing Liam graduate from college, proud of overcoming such significant challenges and starting anew.